Assalamu alaikum. This is our lecture number 2, which is in the continuation of lecture number 1, Introduction to Industrial Safety. In this lecture, we will consider following topics. Number 1, development before the Industrial Revolution. Number 2, milestones in the safety movement. Number 3, development of accident prevention programs. Development of safety organizations. Safety and health movement today, integrated approach to safety and health. In this slide, we will again see the definition of safety. Safety is the state of being safe, the condition of being protected against physical, social, spiritual, financial, or other type or consequences of failure, damage, error, accidents, harm, or any other event which could be considered non-desirable. This can take the form of being protected from the event or from exposure to something that causes health or economical losses. The goal of health, safety and environment is to minimize all these losses. What is the development before the Industrial Revolution? In this slide, we will see that how during the ancient Babylon they developed some codes and how they implement these codes. Understanding the past can help safety and health professionals examine the present and future with a sense of perspective and continuity. During ancient Babylonians, their ruler Hammurabi developed Code of Hammurabi. The codes encompassed all the laws of the land at that time, showed Hammurabi to be just a ruler, and set a precedent followed by other Mesopotamian kings. The significance of the code from the perspective of safety and health is that it contained clauses dealing with injuries, allowable fees or physicians, and monetary damages assessed against those who injured others. If a man has caused the loss of a gentleman's eye, his own eye shall be caused to be lost. This movement continued and emerged in later Egyptian civilization. To ensure the maintenance of a workforce sufficient to build huge temple bearing his name, Ramesses II created an industrial medical service to care for the workers. The workers were required to bath daily in the Nile and they were given regular medical examinations. Sick workers were isolated. The Romans were vitally concerned with safety and health. The remains of their construction projects were aqueducts, sewerage systems, public baths, latrines, well-ventilated houses. Following are the contribution of Arabazini, who wrote discourse on the diseases of workers. Ramazzini drew conclusive parallel between disease and suffered by workers and their occupations. He related occupational diseases to the handling of a harmful material, to irregular or unnatural movement of the body. The changes in the production brought about by the Industrial Revolution can be summarized as follows. Introduction of inanimate power, steam power, to replace people and animal power, substitution of machine for people, introduction of new methods for converting raw materials, organization and specialization of work resulting in a division of labor. During the Industrial Revolution, child labor in factories was common. Working hours were long, the work hard, and conditions often unhealthy and unsafe. The people in the Manchester, England began demanding better working conditions in the factories due to an outbreak fever among the children working in the cotton mills. Government response in 1802, the Health and Morals of Apprentices Act was passed. This was a milestone piece of legislation. It marked the beginning of governmental involvement in workplace safety. In United States, hazardous working conditions were the commonplace. In 1867, factory inspection was introduced in Manchester. Manchester. In 1868, the first barrier safeguard was painted. In 1869, the Pennsylvania legislature passed a mine safety law requiring two exits from all mines. In 1877, the Massachusetts legislature passed a law requiring safeguards for hazardous machinery. In 1892, the first recorded safety program was established in a Juliet Lyonnais. Around 1900, Frederick Taylor began studying efficiency in manufacturing. The purpose was to identify the impact of various factors on efficiency, productivity, and profitability. Following are some tragedies that have changed the safety movement. Safety and health tragedies in the workplace have greatly accelerated the pace of the safety movement in the United States. Three of the most significant events in the history of the safety and health movement were the Hawks Nest tragedy, asbestos, menace, and the Bhopal tragedy. Hawks Nest tragedy. The Hawks Nest Tunnel disaster was a large-scale incident of occupational silicosis as the result of the construction of the Hawks Nest Tunnel near Gulale Bridge, West Virginia, as part of hydroelectric project Wikipedia. In this tragedy, number of deaths were 476 to 1000 estimated. Start date was 1927. Asbestos menace. Asbestos was once considered a miracle fiber, but in 1964, Dr. Irving J. Selikoff told 400 scientists at a conference on the biological effects of asbestos that this widely used material was killing workers. It is harmful. We cannot use it. This conference changed how Americans viewed not just asbestos but workplace hazards in general. Bhopal disaster. The Bhopal disaster, also referred to as Bhopal gas tragedy, was a gas leakage incident on the night of 2-3 December 2 or 3 between 2 and 3 December 1984 at the Union Carbide India Limited pesticide plant in Bhopal. This was a tragedy and number of deaths was at least 3,787 and maximum 16,000 were claimed death. In the modern workplace, there are many different types of accidents prevention programs ranging from the simple to complex. Widely used accident prevention techniques include failure minimization, fail-safe designs, isolation, lockouts, screening, personal protective equipment, redundancy and time replacement. Early 1800s employer had little concern for the safety of workers and little incentive to be concerned. Between World War I and World War II, industry discovered the connection between quality and safety. They have generated a difference between quality and safety. They have defined what is quality and what is safety. During World War II, troop call-ups and deployment created several labor shortages. According to the Society of Manufacturing Engineers, around this time, industry begins to realize the following. Number one, improved engineering. They realized that improved engineering could prevent accidents. We can minimize or we can eliminate the accidents with the help of improved engineering. Employees were willing to learn and accept safety rules. This was point number two. Point number three is safety rules. Safety rules could be established and enforced. Employees must enforce to follow safety rules. Financial savings. Financial savings from safety improvement could be reaped by savings in compensation and medical bills. Early safety programs were based on the 3 E's of safety. The 3 E's are what? Engineering, education and enforcement. Engineering, education and enforcement. These are the 3 E's of safety. We have to define what is engineering, what are the perspectives of engineering in safety, what are the perspectives of education, what are the perspectives of enforcement. Number one, engineering. Engineering involves making design improvements, that is robust design. Design improvement to both product and process. Education ensures that employees know how to work safely. Some guidelines are there. Employees should have to follow these guidelines so that they know how to work safely. Ensures that employees know how to work. Education ensures that employees know how to work safely. Why it is important to do so? Why it is important for their health? Why it is necessary to follow these rules in order to minimize the accidents, and that safety is expected by management. So this education will be necessary for the employees. Enforcement. Enforcement involves making sure that employees abide by safety policies, rules, regulations, practices and procedures. They must have to follow rules and regulation regarding safety. Management want to enforce that all the employees have to follow all these rules and regulations, prescribed rules and regulations of the management. Numerous organizations involved to the promotions of safety and health in the workplace. The grandfather of all is National Safety Council, NSC, National Saving Council. NSC is the largest organization that United States devoted solely to safety and NSC is the largest organization at the United States. Its purpose is to prevent losses, direct and indirect, arising out of accidents or from exposure to unhealthy environment. Occupational Safety and Health Administration is the government's administrative arm for the Occupational Safety and Health Act. They conduct inspections, investigate problems, issues conditions, assesses penalties, petitions the court to take appropriate action against unsafe employers, provides safety training, provides injury prevention consultation, and maintain a database of health and safety statistics. National Institute of Occupational Safety and Health is part of the Centers for Disease Control of the Department of Health and Human Services. National Institute of Occupational Safety and Health is required to publish annually a comprehensive list of all known toxic substances. This organization also provides on-site test potentially toxic substances. One of the earliest and most vocal proponents of the cooperative or integrated approach was H.G. Dijkstra. He proposed the following objectives of integration. Number one, learn more through sharing knowledge. Learn more through sharing knowledge about health problems in the workplace, particularly those caused by toxic substances. Provide a greater level of expertise in evaluating health and safety problems. Provide broad database that can be used to compare health and safety problems experienced by different companies in the same industry. Encourage accident prevention. Make employee health and safety a high priority. This organization reinforced the integrated approach by requiring companies to have a plan for doing at least the following. What are these things? Number one, providing appropriate medical treatment for injured or ill worker. Number two, regularly examining workers who are exposed to toxic substances. Number three, having qualified first aid person available during all working hours. Modern safety and health teams. The component of this team is here. In this slide, we see that there are 6 components of health and safety manager. Number 1, safety engineer. Number 2, environmental engineer. Number 3, industrial hygienist. Number 4, health physicist. Number 5, occupational health nurses. Number 6, occupational physicians. This is the figure for a modern safety and health team. A modern health and safety team is comprises of these 6 different teams. Here is a vacancy announcement, so that we can see that what is the position description if they need a safety and health manager. What are the responsibility of a safety and health manager? This vacancy announcement shows that what are the conditions, what are the things they want in an employee. in a safety and health manager. Number one, the responsibility of a safety and health manager is to establish and maintain a comprehensive company-wide safety and health program. This is the function of a safety manager. Assess and analyze all department processes and materials for potential hazards. He must be able to work with appropriate personnel to develop, implement, monitor and evaluate accident prevention and hazard control strategies. Ensure company-wide compliance with all applicable laws, standards and codes. Coordinate the activities of all members of the company's safety and health program. Plan, implement and broker as appropriate safety and health related trainings. Maintain all required strategy, all required safety and health related records and reports. Conduct accident investigations as necessary. Develop and maintain a company-wide emergency action plan. His responsibility to establish and maintain an ongoing safety promotion effort. He should be able to analyze the company's products from the perspectives of safety, health and liability. So all these are the responsibilities of a safety manager. Following are the problems safety and health managers face during the work. Lack of commitment. Lack of commitment from different employees. Production versus safety. Company-wide commitment to safety and health. Lack of resources. Productivity, quality, cost and response time. Image and service. Education and training for safety and health managers. Helpful agencies and organizations. Here are the approaches in avoiding hazards. Following are the four approaches. Enforcement approach, number one. Psychological approach, number two. Engineering approach, number three. Analytical approach, number four. Hazards classification scheme. Enforcement approach. The purpose of enforcement approaches are there. The pure enforcement approach says that since people neither assess hazards properly nor make prudent precautions, they should be given rules to follow and be subject to penalties for breaking those rules. The enforcement must be swift and sure and the penalties sufficiently severe. If these conditions are met, people will follow rules to some extent. Using the enforcement approach, OSHA forces thousands of industries to comply with regulations that have changed workplaces and made millions of jobs safer and more helpful. There are some basic weaknesses in the enforcement approach, such as statistic aspect. It is difficult to see any general improvement in injury and illness statistic as a result of enforcement. At the foundation of any enforcement approach lies a set of mandatory standards. Mandatory standards must be worded in absolute, such as always do this and never do that. Here is case study. A dangerous fire was in progress as flammable liquid were burning in tanks. To shut off the source of fuel, a thinking employee quickly turned off the adjacent tank valves to avert a more dangerous fire that could have cost many lives. Not to speak of property damage, did the employee receive a medal for this meritorious act? Answer is no. Why answer is no? Instead, the company received an OSHA citation because the employee went ahead and closed the valves. Burning his hands, the company was issued a citation. Therefore, the answer is no. This example states an extreme case, and we must be reasonable and use our professional judgment. But in this arena of enforcement and mandatory standards, who is going to say what is reasonable? This is the question. What is reasonable? Here is another case study. A trench cave in accident in Boise, Idaho. A worker was buried and co-workers. Good Samaritans bravely jumped into the trench in the emergency to attempt to free the buried worker. OSHA responded by fining the company $8,000 because of the humanitarian response of the rescue workers to the emergency. This action was ridiculed by some US senators who awarded OSHA that infamous red tape award for issuing the citation. The enforcement approach leads to problem when it is the only response to deal with a safety or health hazard. Sometimes a fine is negative and inappropriate response in a vain attempt to place blame after the fact when an accident has occurred. Second is physiological approach. Physiological approach includes safety signs, top management support, seniority. These are the three elements of a physiological approach. Employed by many safety and health managers. Reward safe behavior. The familiar elements of this approach are posters and signs reminding employee to work safely. A large sign may be at the front gate of the plant displaying the number of days since the last time injury. Safety meetings, departmental awards, prizes, and picnics can be used to recognize and award safe behavior. Physiological approach safety signs. These are the two signs which you can see. Danger, flammable gas. You can use this where a flammable gas is in the plant. Danger, rotating blades, where different rotating blades are there in the factory, in the company. So at the workplace, so we can use this sign, danger, rotating blades. These are the safety signs. Here you can see other safety signs. These are also safety signs, safety posters in fact. safety alert near moving equipment. The first poster is safety alert near moving equipment. Hazards come from all directions. You can see in the diagram, hazards come from all directions. In the second poster, you can see some tools are irreplaceable. We have to use it. These are also safety posters. Awards, safety, different awards are given to the employees. The physiological approach is very sensitive to the support of top management. Recognition pins, certificates, and even monetary prizes are small reward if workers feel that to win these rewards they are not pursuing the real goals of the top management. A rule requiring safety glasses to be worn in the production area is undetermined when the top management does not wear safety glasses when visiting the production floor. They must use safety glasses when they visiting the production floor. If safe practices are ordered to be cast aside when production must be expedited to fill on order on time, workers find out just how much worker safety and health meant to top management. Second component is seniority. New workers, especially new young workers, are particularly influenced by the physiological approach to safety and health. These new workers are watching supervisors and more experienced co-workers to determine what kind of behavior or work habits earn respect in the industrial setting. If more experienced workers or ear protection, the young workers may also adopt safe habits. Seniors peers wear respirators or ear protections. The young workers may also adopt safe habits. If highly respected co-workers, seniors laugh at or ignore safety principles, young workers may get off to a very bad start. Never taking safety and health seriously. Here is another case study. Experienced worker kid. On an extra weekend shift, a steel mill worker was removing 5-ton piece of equipment using crane. The equipment was attached to the overhead crane but did not lift properly because one of the equipment hold downs was still attached. This caused the equipment to cook to one side. The worker saw the problem and went into the mill to detach the hold down since the lift was under crane tension. The release of the hold down caused the load to swing unexpectedly. The worker was crushed in a pinch point between the mill and stand and the hold down. The worker was 62 years old and had been employed in the industry for 33 years. In fairness to young worker, there is a complacency factor in older, more experienced worker that sometimes leads to tragic accidents at the end of the older worker's career. Accident reports confirm that a large percentage of injuries are caused by unsafe acts by workers. This fact emphasizes the importance of the physiological approach in developing goods worker attitude towards safety and health. This approach can be absolutely by training in the hazards of specific operations. This approach can be bolstered by training in the hazards of specific operation. Engineering approach. The third component is engineering approach. Safety engineers have attributed most workplace injuries to unsafe worker act, not unsafe conditions. What are unsafe acts and what is the percentage of this hazardous cause? Unsafe conditions 10%, unsafe acts are 88%, unsafe conditions 10%, unsafe causes 2%, total causes of workplace accidents 100%. If we add all these three, 88 plus 2 plus 10, it is 100. So out of 100, the contribution of unsafe act is 88%, contribution of unsafe condition is 10%, and contribution of unsafe causes is 2%. So if we combine these three percentages, we get 100%, which is the total causes of workplace accidents. So this is the statement. What is engineering approach? What includes in engineering approach? Accident analysis are probing more deeply to determine whether incidents that at first appear to be caused by worker carelessness could have been prevented by a process redesign. This development has greatly enhanced the importance of the engineering approach to dealing with workplace hazards. Following are the three lines of defense. When a process is noisy or present airborne exposures to toxic materials, the firm should first try to redesign or revise the process to engineer out the hazard. Three lines of defense against health hazards are there. These three identified as follow. Number one, engineering controls, administrative or work practice control, personal protective equipment. Engineering controls deal directly with the hazard by removing it, ventilating it, suppressing it, or otherwise rendering the workplace safe and healthful. This removes the necessity of living with the hazard and minimizing its effects, as contrast with the strategies of administrative controls and the use of personal protective equipment. Basic principles of engineering design appears at various places in safety standards. For example, the safety factor for the design scaffold companies is 4:1. Head crane hoist, the factor is 5:1. The scaffold ropes, the factor is 6:1. 6 times the intended load. It would be nice if all safety factors could be 10:1, but there are trade-offs that make such large safety factors unreasonable. even infeasible in some situations. Weight supporting structure, speed, horsepower, and size are all factors that may be affected by selecting too large a safety factor. All of these factors would increase the cost, which is undesirable for the company, which is not beneficial for the company. Company want to increase their profit. The drawbacks of our safety factors must be weighed against the consequences of system failure in order to arrive at a rational decision.